Hello. Today we have Giulia Guerrieri, who is a fabulous entrepreneur, literally so incredible. I cannot wait to share your story with everyone. So this one's going to be a little bit different because usually I have real estate investors, but you are a full-time entrepreneur, but you've also used it to really kind of create this dream life, right? And we'll kind of go over what that actually means and looks like and all of that. But I'm so glad to have you on the show, Giulia. Welcome.
Thank you, Olivia.
So Julia, you've created an incredible business. You've literally 7 figures this last year, which is insane, right? And how old are you?
25.
25. Like literally, I'm like at 25, I was still getting drunk and like that was like when I started to maybe think about personal development. So I guess like what even got you into the space of like creating content online and now like coaching tons of women on how to make money online?
Yeah, so when I was in college, I had this deep down desire where I wanted to be a blogger. Blogging was cool at the time, like high school, college. I'll never forget. I maybe had like 2,000 followers in college, and a brand reached out to me and they were like, "We'll send you a free watch. Can you post it?" And it was some like drop shipping company now looking back on it. And it was funny because my friend at the time, she had told me, she's like, "This watch company reached out to me. They're going to send me a watch." So I gave them my address and I was like, "Wait, what's their name?" And she said the name, I forgot what it was. And I was like, "They reached out to me too." And I was like, "You gave them your address?" Like, I was like so shocked. It was like the very first bits of like influencer marketing.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, I'm getting a free watch." And I was like, true. Like, why don't I just give them my address? And I totally remember the picture that I posted. I was like in front of my college dorm, and it kind of like fulfilled this deep down desire, like instead of being like a blogger. Like, it was like the Jay Alvarez era,
Oh my
right? That like
gosh, yes.
influencer style. I was just watching a video on this. Like, these were like the first people to get started in this space. And I just had this deep down desire of like, I want to do that, but I can't ever imagine a way that I could make money doing this,
Mhm.
right? I come from like a background of like my family, my parents are immigrants, like super hardworking, like trade your time for money, like physical labor, like means work and success. So I never thought I could like do something I enjoyed while doing this. So I go through college, I like post on social media just for funsies. And then I discover like my first online course while I'm working a full-time job, and it was on drop shipping. So I start learning about this like make money online cult, if you will. And I start tapping into like drop shipping, social media management, web design, graphic design, coaching, content. I mean, I did everything, like literally everything, brand deals. And I was like, wow, like this actually feels possible. But it was still pretty new that it was like, when someone says, "What do you do?" I wasn't like, "Oh, I'm a content creator."
Yeah.
It was like still that wave of like, this is uncomfortable. Am I an influencer? Like, what am I doing? And then I was living this like dual personality because I was working this job on Wall Street, like my 9 to 5 job as a financial advisor. And I was like going into work every day. And then I would come home at night and make these manifestation TikTok videos. So I just felt like I was living two worlds.
Yep.
And finally, right, we were just talking pre-call, like sometimes you ask for something greater and something bigger and you're like, "I'm ready for my next level." And sometimes like a breakdown has to come before a breakthrough. So I remember feeling this like agitation of wanting to quit my job, wanting to quit my job. I was signing some brand deals. I was living in New York City. I just hit 10K followers. So like everything was adding up and I was like, I'm ready. And then it just felt like everything crumbled a little bit
Yeah.
of like, I went to quit my job and then they're like, "We're promoting you." And I'm like, what the heck is going on? It was like such divine alignment that I was ready to quit this job. And then from there, I launched my first course. My first year, I did 6 figures in 6 months. And then my second year, I did about 200K. And last year, we did just shy of 1 million.
So incredible. And it's so funny because like right at that time where you're ready to change and move that they were promoting you, because it really is almost like the universe. I don't like the word tests, but it kind of is like, it's like the universe testing you. It's like, are you going to stay back into like that old world and not level up? Like it's really trying to push you to see if you're going to take that leap and take that faith. Because a similar thing happened to me too before I quit my job. I literally my boss selected me to go to a leadership thing. And it was like this whole leadership retreat on how we're gonna expand within the business and really become the leaders of tomorrow. And I was like, this is not it.
Yeah. Oh
Oh
my
my gosh,
god.
that is so funny. So I guess tell me a little bit more about like, growing up in an immigrant family because I know I'm the same. Like my family's from Angola, West Africa, so
Mm.
really grew up with like hard workers. And it's so funny because even when I meet other entrepreneurs, they usually like a lot of the time the really successful ones come from an immigrant background, or it's like their parents were blue collar workers and really just like learned to work really hard. But like, how do you think that that has affected your success? But like, also, how do you think your mentality has changed from that?
Totally. So, my parents started a bakery when they were 21 years old. So, my mom and dad, like, they were working this high school job in a bakery, and then they started up this bakery at 21. They like took out a loan to build this bakery. And my dad still has the bakery. My parents are divorced now. But it was just really interesting because I just saw hard work from a really young age where like my dad's like, "You want to hang out?" And I'm like folding boxes at the bakery and he's paying me like $5 an hour. And he's like, "This is your allowance." Like I was just like grew up in that kind of culture of like work, work, work. Like, it's so funny because my boyfriend Marco's like, we just have such different upbringings. And he was like in a family where it was like, let's watch movies together and like cuddle on the couch. And I'm like, oh my God, my family never, ever, ever did that. So it's just like, you're going to do things in the way that you're taught. So I think it's instilled a lot of this like powerhouse woman like strengths in me. And like from such a young age, like I had my first job at my dad's bakery at 12, 13 years old. Like I'd been working since I'm like literally 12 years old. I got my first like real job outside the bakery at 17. So like I've always been a hard worker. And I mean, I was working retail at 17 and doing like $5,000 days for
Yeah.
the like clothing store. So I just kind of always had this within me. And I think I always had this like entrepreneurial bug. But when you're young, you want to like do something different than your parents. So I'm like, no, I need to like work this job. I mean, my family knows nothing about corporate America. Like
Mm.
no one in my family worked corporate. They're very like immigrant Italian, like my dad's a baker. So just like growing up, I wanted the thing that I didn't have. So I was like, oh, having this corporate job will make me successful because I don't want to work in the food industry. I don't want to have the stress of having my own business. And now here we are many years later, and I'm like, give me more. I love it.
Oh, completely. It's such a mindset shift because I know for me, like the big thing about corporate America was just it bored me, right? Like it was a lot of the
Hmm.
same thing every single day. And you also didn't really have control over what you worked on. It was just like whatever's given to you, like
Yep.
here, take it, you know?
Yep.
What I see with you too is like the grit, right? That was built from such an early age because I know like part of your story is even, finding out that you were in $25,000 worth of student debt and then selling your clothes on Poshmark. And that reminds me of me so much as well, because like when
Mm.
I realized I was in $25,000 worth of credit card debt, a lot worse. But I like went to freaking work. Like I got my real estate license. I started selling real
Wow.
estate to like my coworkers or anyone I could find on social media. And I was a social media manager and I was doing whatever I
Yep.
could to like rake in the money. But it's so interesting because it was also came from such a like scarcity mindset, right? Versus
Hmm.
now, like the way that I run my business, the way that I run my real estate comes from so much more abundance. So I guess like, did you kind of have that similar shift as well?
Yeah, like my money mindset was bad, like
Yeah.
really, really bad. Like I had to do a lot of deep inner work to overcome that and like really shift from like scarcity to abundance. And like there's still days where I struggle with it. And it's so interesting because it's like I've done so much work around this, but that doesn't mean I'm perfect. Like
Yeah.
there's still days I have limiting thoughts or thoughts of scarcity. I just have the tools now to help me overcome those thoughts. And I'll never forget, like, when I was first building my business, like, I was living in New York City, which is not cheap. For me to make 10K a month and be like expenses at like 6K a month, and then you have to pay for taxes. I mean, I was barely saving any money. And I think that's what like motivated me so much to have like such a high cash flowing business, because I was under so much pressure living in New York City. And, a friend and I were like voice noting each other today. She's like also like this badass, like 7-figure CEO. And we're just like voice noting each other. And she was telling me that she was listening to a podcast, and basically it was Barbara, is it Corcoran? Barbara
Yes.
Corcoran, the
Ugh,
real
I
estate
love
mogul.
Barbara.
So she was on a podcast with Stephen Diary of a CEO. And
Mhm.
she was basically like, I don't want to go to therapy because I think my trauma has really built me into the successful businesswoman that I am today. And we were just like talking about this because we were talking behind closed doors. We're both just like going through it right now.
Yeah,
And it was so interesting because we're also both having our best months in business
good.
ever, all time. So just coming from that perspective of like, where's the correlation here? And I think it's like when you kind of give yourself so much compression to succeed, you start to realize that the bad stuff is only bad if you don't use it as fuel to fuel the vision and deeper purpose.
100%. When it's like I tell people all the time to like not necessarily put themselves in bad situations, but like put yourself in situations where you are going to grow, right? Because I think right now, especially, and when you see it on social media and stuff, everyone kind of wants to live comfortably, which I totally get, right? Like we all want to be
Mhm.
comfortable, but it's like in order to grow and in order to be a better person, you have to put yourself through tough situations sometimes. And it's so funny because I remember, so, you're my coach for my coaching program.
Mhm.
And I remember when I originally came to you, I was really like, I kind of want to just like sell a passive course. I don't really want to, like, I want to be chilling on a beach, which I do whenever I feel like it. But what I remember from like the chat that we had was, well, I mean, I'm doing something that I love, like, which is the coaching program and something that fuels me. And like, there's like a way bigger purpose. And I love speaking to all my students and really helping them through things. And I was like, that's so true. It's like the impact is so big. And you always have to kind of think of that bigger why, which is going to fuel. And that like completely changed my entire business for the
I love
better,
that.
which was amazing. But it like, I had to have that mindset shift of like, okay, I'm not really just trying to sit on the beach for the rest of my life. I've done that before and I get
Yeah.
bored and I need something else to do, right? But it's crazy how when you really find your purpose and you find something that you're super passionate about, how it is tough to get through those hard times, but you're almost like willing to go through it because you know you're going to come out on the other side even better and even stronger.
Yes,
Uh,
1000%.
I love that. Well, so can you tell everyone exactly what it is that you do? Everyone knows you make money online, but
Mhm.
how do you do it? What is it that you do?
Yeah, so my signature program is the one Olivia's been through, the Conscious Creator Academy. And what we do is we help content creators monetize with their own products and services. So the goal of the academy is to really help really awesome creators understand like how to make money online in simplest terms. And my favorite part about this all is that we've worked with some really awesome creators that I think have really amazing visions and impact and purpose, but maybe don't understand like the back end or the business or really what's possible for them. So, what we do is we show them how to create a really valuable offer for their audience and use social media, specifically Instagram, as a medium to deliver that offer. Now, we have a lot of different ways we teach to monetize, which is what I think makes our program stand out, is that we help with digital products, online coaching programs. Some people have physical products, service agencies. So we really can help any kind of offer. But the main goal is really helping super like niche creators get their message out into the world and start making money. Like you're a creator because you maybe had a similar passion to me where I was like, this is so cool and this looks so fun. There's a lot of freedom attached to it, but I don't really know how I'm going to make money and like make a living off of this.
I love that. And honestly, like if anyone out there is actually looking to make money online, definitely join because it changed my life and I'm so happy about it. Didn't know if it would, didn't think it would, but it's crazy how much it really has.
I'm so happy, Olivia.
Amazing. So I guess another question that I have for you is like, throughout this entire time building this business, you've moved around the world. Okay. So I
Mhm.
guess, like, how have you done that? And why did you choose to move around the world during the time of building your business? Because I know for me, so many people have told me, like, oh, you're going to build a business or you're really going to focus. You want to reach these big numbers. That means you're probably going to like stay put and settle down. I was like, probably not. Like, I'm going to do
Yeah.
this my way. Like, and I'm the kind of person, I love having a home base personally. Like, I
Yeah.
need to have a home base in the US. I enjoy having a home base, but I travel quite a bit, you know? So I
Mhm.
guess how did you do that? Why did you kind of do the traveling versus staying in one place and all of that?
Totally. So I started like I'm from New York. So I grew up in Long Island, and then when I graduated from college, I was still living at home. I was in debt. Once I paid off my debt, I moved to New York City, and it was wild because like literally like week that I was moving, my account started blowing up. Like my Instagram account started blowing up. I went from like 5K followers that took me like, I don't know, like 5 years to build to 10K followers in like a week. And like all my shit just started like skyrocketing. And I think it was like further confirmation from the universe. And then at the time, I also met my partner. So we started dating and we were doing long distance. So like he was living with his family in New Hampshire and I was living in New York City, and he would literally drive, like he's so sweet, like every 4 weeks to come see me. And we were just living like our best city life. And then he was like, I'm going to move there, right? We got like more serious after a year. And then he moved there. So, like, during that time, actually, we are like, if we're going to travel to see each other, why don't we just go somewhere cool? So, we went to like Aspen, Texas. We went to all these amazing places, traveling together. And then he moved to Brooklyn. So then the year of 2022, we were both in the city and it was amazing. Like dating, being in your 20s in New York City, like building your business. Like I just kind of felt like I was more like unemployed during that season. And I was just like, I don't know, like I have so many influencer friends in the city. So like we would just go do like content shoots. And it was just like so fun. Like it was one of the best chapters of my life. My boyfriend and I, like our date nights were just amazing. Food, plays, like going out, like everything you could imagine. And then we just got like really serious about our businesses. And we're like, okay, it's time to like lock in. Um, my boyfriend was like going through some changes. Like he was going from he was doing crypto, which is where he started, and then he started building an agency, which he still has now. And then we're like, he was also in the military, so we couldn't move anywhere like far or like travel for that long. So then finally in 2023, we're like, it sounds crazy, but why don't we just move to Bali? And I was in a mastermind at the time, and that mastermind, they were all living in Bali. Like 4 or 5 of the girls were like, yeah, like let's co-work. And I was like, oh my God, this sounds so cool. Like I want to do this. And we looked more and more into it. His contract was up, so he didn't have to go like monthly for his like weekend things that he has to do, like training and stuff. And we're like, let's just do it. So we booked the flight. We never looked back. We moved to Bali. We lived in Bali for about 6 months. And then at that time, like digital nomad life gets tiring, which I'm sure you probably know. And we're like, we're just ready for like a home base. We're ready for like our place that we can call a home. So we settled in Miami, but now we're getting up and moving again. Maybe.
I love that. We can go over that offline.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Okay, so I just got back from Nicaragua, truly living that freedom lifestyle that I always talk about. Left my computer at home, put my phone on do not disturb. And the best part about it was that my real estate was running in the background, still bringing me income without me having to lift a finger. And it was blissful. And when I got back, I was just like, more people need to set this up for their lives for freedom. Okay. And so I haven't done this in a little bit, but I am going to be hosting a free masterclass on June 25th on how to get started investing in real estate in 2024. Because y'all, it is halfway through the year. And so many of you have told me that your goal was to buy real estate in 2024 and you still haven't done it. So let's change that, okay? And take you from burnt out corporate employee or burnt out business owner to actually bringing in passive income and having that freedom lifestyle. So come to my masterclass on June 25th. It is totally free. You can either find the link in the show notes or DM me the words free class. So like FREECLASS like separate free class on Instagram, and we will get you all signed up. See you on June 25th. Okay, so I guess, with courses, a lot of people kind of see what you do online, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, that looks so easy. I want to get into it. Or they think it's like super passive, right? And I know we both kind of went through that. Oh, I want to make money online through a passive course. So I guess what are your
Yeah.
thoughts about that?
I have so many thoughts. This is like the best question. So, anyone who's listening, like, I just want to make this very, very clear. If it were easy, everyone would do it. Like, you ever see something and you're like, this looks too easy? It probably is, right? If something looks fishy, it probably is. And I think with all the jargon around passive income online right now, you kind of have to take it for what it is. Like, it's not as easy as everyone makes it seem. And one thing that I really struggled with, and especially if you're like a newer entrepreneur listening to this, is when you see so much on social media, it's so easy to just compare yourself
Mhm.
and like kick yourself when you're down and be like, well, my course isn't selling passively, or I'm not making as much money as her. And it kind of like breaks you inside. And like that whole year of 2022, I was like bought into this passive income belief. And I was bought into this belief that like I could just do nothing all day long and money's going to fall from the sky. And it was so toxic, so toxic. I mean, I was paying like $10,000, $20,000 for courses and masterminds and coaches and all the things to just realize that like this was all like a lie. And in the moment, it was very hard because like I was making 200K a year, investing like over 100K in courses and personal development, living in New York City. Like looking back, like, damn, I had so much pressure, like
Yeah.
really, like so much pressure. But then I came out of the other side and I worked with one of my mentors that really changed my life. And he was like, why don't you use what you don't like to create something that you like?
Mhm.
And that was just like the eye opening moment of like, this is an opportunity where for so long, and I mean, I talk about this with my friends behind closed doors a lot, there's a lot of shit you see out there. And I've just like totally flipped my perspective of like when I see shit, I see it's an opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
And once I flip that switch of like, oh, well, I've never seen it be done before. So why don't I just pave the way?
Yep.
Has been the catalyst to my success. Additionally, though, on the other hand, it's a lonely road
Yep.
because you're building something that's never been built before. There's no playbook, there's no right or wrong, right? There's still going to be shit in the industry. And you have to learn to just be resilient and be willing to create something that's authentic with your truth and what you want to put out in the world.
Completely. Yeah, and people really don't talk about the loneliness. This is both from like as a real estate investor, but also as an entrepreneur. Like it's kind of like you're living in a silo, and it's so
Yeah.
important to just get yourself around other people who are on a similar mission to you or are either a few steps ahead of you, but also people who are kind of like at the same level as you and you guys are kind of working towards the same thing. So I guess what are for anyone who is looking to go on this route, what's some advice that you could give them?
Yeah, so good. Find the right mentor. And I don't think that's so easy anymore
Yeah.
because of how saturated the space has become. But I also don't want it to sound like discouraging
Yeah.
because I think there's a lot of amazing coaches and a lot of amazing programs still. You just have to look a little bit deeper
Mhm.
and you just have to, like, my best piece of advice would be like, look at that person's life and say, would I trade places with
Yep.
them? So, like, there's some mentors that have changed my life, but I wouldn't trade places with them.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that so much because I same here.
Yeah, and I'm like, I think what's really good, like, I actually always have a male and a female mentor at the same time, and the reason why, like, I'll just tell you something that happened. Basically, I was dealing with this big, like, client issue, and I reached out to the male mentor, and I was like, "What would you do here?" And then I said, "Okay, thank you." I go to the female mentor, "What would you do here?" And then once I heard both perspectives being, like, so polar opposite,
Mhm.
I was able to conclude my own answer.
Yep.
And I think that's the power in finding the right mentors, is not taking everything they say as Bible, but rather taking what they say with a grain of salt and creating and paving your own pathway, which is kind of the common theme of what I was saying with building my program and now having mentors. Like, the best thing you can do is pave your own pathway, because there's just been too many moments where I put so much trust in other people. And I think people are good. Like, I don't think people are like morally bad. I'm not like that kind of person. But I do think we need to have more individuality in entrepreneurship. And we need to say to ourselves, like, who do I want to be in a place where there's so little originality these days?
Totally. And I almost feel like for me, what I really take like coaching and mentorship as, it's teaching you just a different way of thinking. It's kind of like, honestly, when I look back at my engineering degree too, it was like, I all the engineering knowledge doesn't matter, but it
Mhm.
taught me how to critically think through problems, right? And know that there's not only like one solution to a problem. Because whenever you're signing up with like a coach or a mentor, all you're doing is tapping into the experience that they have had in the past. But it does not
Yes.
mean that you're going to follow in their exact footsteps. You're probably not going to follow in their exact footsteps. And it's
Yeah.
like, even my students within the Wanderlust Wealth Academy, like I teach house hacking, which is like buying duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. But for some people, that maybe doesn't make sense. Does it mean that they shouldn't join the program? No, I have people buying Airbnbs. I have people buying like, single family homes that they're doing long term rentals, but they're tapping into the experience and the knowledge there, right?
Totally. I
Uh,
love that.
I know for me personally, I've loved just being around expanders, right? And I feel like, especially when I was in corporate America, everyone just kind of like knew the path that they were going to, and everyone, it was all kind of the same thing.
The
But
zombies.
yes, exactly.
Like, that's what I felt like. I'm like, all we're talking about is the weekend, like all
Oh
day.
my
Monday,
gosh.
how was your past weekend? Wednesday, what's coming up this weekend? Like, I'm like, oh my God.
Like literally cannot live this way. But like and then when you get into the entrepreneurial space, I remember like one of my mentors who's now my like super good friend, she owns over $30 million worth of real estate. I'm like, when I was working in corporate America, $30 million wasn't even on my like what?
Yeah.
And it's crazy how when you get into those spaces and get into those rooms, I know like you did a really high-end mastermind that you paid
Mhm.
$25,000 for. Like, I guess, how did that affect your mindset and everything too?
Yeah. I mean, that experience was amazing. Like, for my own mental health and my own abundance mindset, because I had never paid for something so much in my life. Like, you never forget your first big investment in yourself. Like, when you put $22,000 down, you're just like, holy shit. And I actually was on a payment plan, but I knew I was like locked into that investment. So, yeah, just like, I so remember, like, I couldn't even sleep the night before because I was just like, not even anxious, but I was like, is this my next step?
Yeah.
And that mastermind was so powerful, not for the content in it, not for the coach, but for the transformation I walked myself through. And I've gone through this a lot in my life, and I'm sure you can relate, and I think all entrepreneurs can relate. You're taking the path that's so different from everyone else that most people will not support you. And I think that when you have the right support system, like, I literally count my blessings twice for my partner every single day,
Yeah.
because he is seriously like my rock and my biggest supporter. So, like, when you have someone like in such close proximity being like, yeah, you should invest 22K, you should challenge your mindset, you should put yourself in that compression. I mean, that's the gift. That's the blessing, because we talk about this all the time. Like, sometimes you just see things and, like, I forgot what we were talking about, but I said something to him the other day and I was like, I can't believe so and so like did that. And he was like, well, she didn't have a partner. Like, we have each other to just be a sounding board and to help them through it. So, like, yeah, you and I can see in retrospect, like, whatever happened was a mistake, but they didn't have someone to walk them through that challenging moment like we have each other.
Ugh, I love that. That is so good. I guess for you, what would you say really is your zone of genius?
Oh, I love this. I would honestly say building community. Like, I didn't realize this until recently, honestly. Like, I was always like, "Oh, I'm like a beast at sales and I'm a beast at content." And then I'm like, "But that's not how I would describe myself." Like, I just think I'm really good at building relationships and bringing people together, and all the success that I've had is a byproduct of that.
Yeah. No, I love that. And honestly, like the CCA community is fabulous. Even I still hop in there every once in a while. I'm like, it's so great to see everyone.
Oh, I love it.
So I love that. That's amazing. I guess what's a trait that you admire? Like, and this could be anyone, it doesn't necessarily have to be anyone famous or anything, but like, what's a trait that you really like whenever you meet someone, you're like, wow, that's something I want to embody?
Charisma.
Oh, okay. Would you feel like you're not charismatic?
No, I do think I'm charismatic,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I'm really intrigued by charisma
Okay. Tell
because
me
I think
more.
I'm reading this book. I'm like halfway through. I need to pick it back up. It's called The Charisma Myth.
Hmm.
And it's basically all about like how to be more charismatic. And I'm so fascinated by this topic because I was just listening to a podcast by Ed Milet, and he was basically talking about like he thinks the number one skill in people that will make you successful is communication. And
Hmm.
I think that it's a mix of like communication and charisma and like energy. Like I have this friend, the one that I was telling you about, we were voice noting about Barbara. She's just like so charismatic. Like she just has such amazing energy. Like whenever she talks, she's the kind of person like you want to listen to. She brightens up a room, like just great energy. And for me, like I love seeing that in other people because that's something that like I really work on.
Yeah.
Like I think that like your energy and the way people feel around you is so important. And I think once again, like just looking back at my journey and like being able to achieve as much as I did so far has just like has me questioning like what really was it?
Yeah.
Because like I don't think I'm really like that smarter than the average person. Like yeah, maybe I'm skilled in certain places. I'm not talking down on myself, but often say to myself like I'm really not that special. Like, I feel like I just have a few things that I do really good. And then when I ask myself, like, what are those few things? It's like my energy, right? And like being of service. And I think this is what I really look for in other people. And I can really like tell who people are by how they are.
Yeah. Well, I think that you are very special
Thank you.
in a fabulous way. And like, even just what you said, there are a few things that you can do really well and you go all in on those things. And that's what I think a lot of people don't do, right? It's like they try to almost spread themselves thin and be kind of mediocre at a lot of things versus just like, buckling down and doing the thing you can do super, super well and just kind of like staying focused on harnessing your energy and harnessing your ability in that one thing.
Totally.
I love that. Well, I'm going to ask you the three final interview questions that I ask every single person. So, number one, what does your ideal day look like?
I love it. Like a typical day or like my like vacation perfect day?
Okay, let's go. Let's go both. Let's go both because I'm
Okay.
so curious.
So my like typical day in my life is I like to follow the like I have 3 days in one. So I wake up at 5. I love waking up at 5. Like
Me
that
too.
is
Me
my
too.
me time. Like I love it and no one's going to take it away from me. Kind of love it. So I wake up at 5. I love to do my deep work until 9 a.m. And then at 9 a.m. I like to go work out. So sometimes it's a morning walk, sometimes it's strength training depending on like my workout plan, working with my personal trainer. Then I love to like cook a really nourishing breakfast. I'm starting to realize how much I love like a high protein breakfast. I mean, my diet has changed so much from working with my personal trainer. So I'm discovering a lot of about me in terms of like my relationship with food and the things I like to eat. And then from 12 to 5 is like my being of service time. So like there I'm there for my team, I'm there for my clients. I'm like on from 12 to 5 like meetings, podcasts, things like that. Some days it goes a little bit over like we're recording at 6 right now. But like I'm in bed by like 9.
Yep.
Like I'm done with work by like 7:30 the latest. Like you're not seeing me on at 8 p.m. Like 8 p.m. it's game over.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's that. And I would say like an ideal day is pretty much that. Cause like even when I travel, like I don't really wake up at 5 because I'm not going into deep work like I would in my office. But at when I travel, I like to just like wake up naturally. And I've been talking about this a lot. I don't know if you heard me say this on some of the calls, but I really like to work in sprints.
Me
So like for me,
too. Oh my gosh, I am the exact same way.
yeah, and, like, I'm gonna go on a, like, 3-week vacation at the end of May, and I'm going on, like, a women's retreat. I'm gonna be doing some work as well. We're gonna go stay with some family, and right now, I'm, like, in a big sprint up until that vacation, and then I know I'm gonna have, like, a chill, like, month to
Yeah.
be, like, just kinda, like, laptop lifestyle, working from my phone, and that feels really good for me.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. Literally, I'm like, I've got kind of like two sprints this year that I'm doing. It's like I've got this sprint that's ending here in a couple of weeks, and then I've got another sprint until my 30th birthday. And then I'm like,
Mm.
October, I'm gone. You guys, no one's seeing me.
Yeah, I love that.
Like, that is a month off pretty much.
Yep.
But
We're
it's
doing
like,
a month off in October too. We're going to
ah,
Italy.
fabulous. I'm going to, I love Italy so much. I'm thinking I have a trip to plan to the UK, and I'm like, do I extend a week or two and go to
Yeah,
Italy? I'm like, I think so.
totally.
I love that. Okay, well, second question. What is your mantra?
Ooh. The
And
first one that's coming to mind is, yeah, where energy goes, focus flows. Is that how it
yes, it's
goes?
something like that. But
Something
yes,
you're like, "What's your mantra?" I'm like, "I don't even know, but it's that one."
yes, but basically it's like where your attention goes, energy flows or
Yes,
something. I
that's what it is.
I
Where
think
your
there's
attention
multiple
goes.
ways to say
Yeah.
it, but
But basically, like, what you focus on expands,
yes.
and this is, like, so prevalent in my life right now of, like, if you zone in on something, it's gonna just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I love that. And then last question, what does wealth mean to you?
Ooh, so wealth means to me freedom. Like
Yeah.
freedom, but like a little bit deeper, freedom of choice.
Mhm.
Like you have the choice to get up and travel. You have the choice to retire your family. You have the choice to have kids or not have kids. Like you have the choice to do what you want because you can afford to do so.
I love that. Amazing. Well, this was wonderful. Julia, where can people reach out to you? Maybe if they want to learn a little bit more about like online course and online coaching or get involved with CCA or anything like that.
Yeah, Instagram is the place. So definitely check me out on Instagram. I'm sure you'll link it in the show notes,
Yes.
or you can check out any of our stuff at creatortocashflow.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Julia. This was so fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Wanderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member or literally like anyone off of the street. Like right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.